Make sure to subscribe to Dragon Ball Otaku and follow him on these social media platforms. I will destroy you mortals.
Welcome to the top 10 Dragon Ball Z video, guys. Now, everything that is on this list is my personal opinion, what I find in ranking and what I found enjoyable. So if you don't agree with what is on my list, that is fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. But everything that is on this list is what I found from least greatest to the best of the best Dragon Ball games. So bear with me and let's get into the video, shall we? Coming in at the number 110 spot, I don't think anyone would have seen coming, is Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z. Now, before you guys go into the comment section and started hating for this being even on the list, let me tell you, this game isn't as bad as people think. I personally think that the game isn't the best in the entire universe, that is why it's so low, but there are some good qualities to it. The fighting mechanics are decent. There is really lack of story in it, yes, but it's the card system and the RPG mechanics that they try to implement into this game that I really enjoyed. Now, it was released on the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the PS Vita. Personally, I like it on the PS Vita. The UIs are more useful and they do help compared to the other consoles. Personally, I find this game to be very enjoyable just for being casual, not something you would take serious, guys. I enjoyed this game. I liked how this is the first time they would introduce Super Saiyan God in any Dragon Ball game. This is one of those games people wanted to beat to get the Super Saiyan God transformation. This game came out, I think, just after the movie Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods came out. So this was pretty much just for publicity to introduce Beerus. So this game was very enjoyable. If you guys don't agree, then that's your opinion, but I personally enjoyed this game. There were some things that were fun about it. I like playing it casually. It's super fun. I'm just trying to get the trophies now for it, but can't wait to get to the next part on this list. Coming in at that number 9 spot is Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit. Personally, this is basically a pre-beta for Dragon Ball FighterZ. This game is basically a remake of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1. It is such a good game. The graphics were very enjoyable. I enjoyed playing through this immensely. It just was one of those games that was really fun. It was one of the first games that came out for the PS3 and the 360 Dragon Ball game. It was fun. I liked the story that they weren't just standing there. They actually had really good cutscenes. I like the new art direction that they were going with this game. It's a very enjoyable Dragon Ball game. It's a good fighter. All the characters on there are really cool. I think it's pretty much just a pre-beta of what Dragon Ball Z FighterZ should be. This game was just so enjoyable for me. I remember when I first bought it, it was so amazing. Just that opening. The opening song to this game gets you hyped. Burst Limit is one of those games that is just badass. Too bad there was so much stuff lacking in it with more content. It stops at the Cell Saga. It had some what-if sagas between Goku and Bardock, which I really enjoyed. They had the legendary Super Saiyan Saga, which is also really cool. I love how the eyes look in this game. But let's get into the next part of the list where things are going to start heating up. Coming in at that number 8 spot is Dragon Ball Z Raging Blast 2. Now, what can I say about this game? It is literally a modern version of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Now, it's not a Budokai Tenkaichi 3 because Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is amazing, but this game had so much to offer. The only downside that I found to this game is its plastic graphics. All the characters looked really plasticky, but it was such an enjoyable game because it had so many characters to play with, characters that have never been playable before. It was the first time they introduced Vegeta's little brother Tarble as a playable character. Tarble was pretty interesting to use in this game. The game also had an anime in the disc. It was the Dragon Ball Z remake, Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. That was a very enjoyable anime to watch, and you get to play Hachiyak, the main villain from that movie, or the OVA. But it was a very enjoyable game, had some really good interesting moments to it. It didn't have a story mode. It had missions called Galaxy Missions, but it is a game that I would recommend people go and pick up if they want to enjoy a 3D kind of based Dragon Ball Z game that's a more updated version of what Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was. Now, it doesn't have that list like Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but it has a lot of variety characters. I'd recommend you guys come get this game because it is an amazing game. So I'd say there's not much more to say, but this game is amazing. Coming in at that number 7 spot is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. Now, why Budokai 2? Or why it's even on the list? Well, one, it's one of the coolest Dragon Ball Z Budokai games out there. It has what if fusions, what if absorptions by Buu. You have what if the Yamcha and Tien fuse, what if Buu absorbed Frieza or Cell or even Vegeta. This game had so much of what ifs. It was such a good game. You could say it was a what Dragon Ball Heroes was going to be. This game was so much fun. I enjoyed it immensely. The story was interesting. It was a board game, but it was 10 times better than Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. This game is so amazing. It's just so fun because you get to see Majin Frieza, Majin Cell. You don't see that in any other game like that. It's very interesting to see stuff like this. It was the first time they introduced Vegito into the Budokai series, so that was an amazing moment too. The whole system was amazing. You could use it. Didn't have the best amount of characters, but it was one of those games that was awesome. And if you got the Japanese version, you get to play as Frieza's son, Kuriza. Not a lot of people know that Frieza has a son until you play that game or read the Neko Majin series. So that's why I chose this game to be in the number 7 spot, because it is such a good game, and I recommend people to get this game for their PS2 because it wasn't in the HD collection. Coming in at that number 7 spot is one of my personal favorite Dragon Ball games on the PSP, Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai, Another Road. It is one of the best Dragon Ball games on the handheld console, and it had a great system. I think Battle of Z is trying to copy this game because it was the first one to implement the card system to level up your character. It was such an enjoyable game. Before Dragon Ball Super's Future Trunks arc, we always wondered what if happened after Trunks left. This game gave a good, perfect representation of what happened, with Dabura, Bobbidi, and Boo being the main villains in this arc. It is such a good game. I'd recommend it to anyone because it was the best Dragon Ball game on the PSP. It was the first time where you could use Super Saiyan 4 Goku on the Shin Budokai series. It was such a great game because they had Frieza's 5th form, a what if, and the first time you could use Gohan in Ultimate form, or Mystic if people want to call it. Where you see future Gohan is a Mystic. This was such a great game with such a great story and such a good battle system. I recommend you guys go and get this because it was a great Dragon Ball Z game. Go get it. It's amazing. Coming in at that number 5 spot is Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball Raging Blast 1. Why is it ahead of Raging Blast 2, or why is both Raging Blast on here? One, Raging Blast 1 was so much better in the graphics wise, the story wise, and it was such a good game. It was the first time you got to use Super Saiyan 3 Broly, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Where can you ever see a Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta or Broly? It was such a good game. The story mode was fun. It made you work for what you wanted in this game. There were so many what if stories. It was amazing. They had a what if for Yamcha, what if Vegito versus Gogeta, what if all the Super Saiyan 3s fought each other, Gotenks, Vegeta, Goku, and Broly. This game was amazing. The graphics look pretty much like the manga or the anime. Mainly the manga, and that's where I really enjoyed this game. This game was such a great game. It offered such a good story. I mean, I know a lot of people get fed up with the same story over and over again, but it was one of the good 3D modern Dragon Ball games on the PS3 and the 360. So this game was enjoyable. It just felt great. I mean, the hair looks good when you don't have energy. It looks like when the anime where they're not fully in the same form, and then when you power up, it turns to the full yellow. That's what I liked about the game. It had so much to offer, and it didn't fail. That's what I liked about Raging Blast 1 over Raging Blast 2, and that's why it's on this list. Coming in at that number 4 spot is Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. It was such a great game. It was better than Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. It's such a rare game that no one really knows about or no one really got it because it came out close to the beginning of the PS3's life cycle. So not a lot of people got to enjoy this game. It had so many characters. It was the first time you get to play as baby Vegeta in the game. Bardock. It was such a good game. It had such a great story, such a variety It was awesome. You could have Super Saiyan 4 transformations. You could have a variety of different Gokus, Gohans, Vegetas, Trunks. It was the first time they introduced Super Saiyan 2 Trunks, which was amazing. It was such a great game that I found the most enjoyable. Had a great interactive story, great cutscenes. It was better than Budokai 3 ever was. Had a great soundtrack, had a great opening. This game was one of those hidden gems that I really enjoyed and asked for my parents for Christmas. They got it for me. It was such a great game. I played it all the time. It's one of those great Dragon Ball games I enjoyed on my PS2. So good. Really, really great gameplay. I recommend you guys go and get this game because it's amazing. Coming in at that number 3 spot is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I love 1 personally for its story, but Xenoverse 2 built on what 1 was missing. It had a better fighting system, more character variety. Still don't know why they didn't have Buhan from the beginning or Dabura, but I digress. The story wasn't what made the game. My favorite part from the story was the Future Gohan arc, because Future Gohan has a special place in my heart because he's one of my favorite characters. This game really, really built on what Xenoverse 1 had. It was such a good game, so much more variety. They added Super Saiyan 3 transformation, gonna be adding Super Saiyan Blue soon. Just had such a good amount of characters to play with. The game made it where it had a lot of replay value. The story was decent, not the best story I've ever played. Xenoverse 1 had a way better story, but the Xenoverse series was such a good game. Xenoverse in the whole is a great game that I recommend people go and get. It's where your own original character is the main character. It's going through this Dragon Ball story, but they're focusing on your character. You're saving the timeline. It's the most amazing game you will play out there. If you don't want to use the regular Dragon Ball character, fine. Use your character and beat him up. Collect moves. Use Goku's Kamehameha or Vegeta's Final Flash on your character. Have a variety where half your attacks are Vegeta, half are Goku's. It's the sky's the limit. It was one of the best games. It truly was a good attempt on building from the game Dragon Ball Online. This was basically built from that, so people could play it in America. It was a really sought out game, Dragon Ball Online, and this game pretty much delivered. It's a great game to go and play. I mean, Trunks doesn't do anything in the game. You do most of the work, but it is a fun game that you will have fun on your own or with your friends. Take it online. I mean, I just did a raid that took an hour to do, so this is a great game to be playing. Coming in at that number 2 spot, this was a very hard decision to make, and it is Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's such a good game. I know there's a lot of people who want to see certain games on this list, but Dragon Ball FighterZ is one of those games that has the best mechanics, best graphics. And where can you main Yamcha in any Dragon Ball game like this? I'm maining Yamcha in this. It's hard for me to admit that, but yes, I'm using Yamcha in this game. And he's a shit character in general. This game looks better than the Super anime, and that's a lot to say, because Super, it has good animation, but it fails. But this game, its animation looks 10 times better. The story is fantastic. Android 21 is thick as hell and makes me want to sleep with her. The game has the great mechanics, great online. Like, I play so much online. I love to play this game, and there's so much to do in the game. Like, once you finish the story, there's 2 more parts to the game: the villain arc, the super arc, and the android arc. This game is so good. I need you guys to get this game. It's so great. One of the best Dragon Ball games I have played. Oh my god, it's so good. And now, coming in at that number 1 spot, I don't think anyone would have thought otherwise. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Guys, has the biggest roster in the world to date on Dragon Ball games. Has 120 characters. It's got a good story. It's got so much replay value. I used to do machinimas with Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3. It was such a great game. It had such a variety. Yes, it was, some of the characters felt like copy and paste, but that's what made the game so enjoyable, because you got to play with Bardock's team, Fasha. You got to play as King Piccolo. You got to play as Tambourine. Just so many characters, so much variety. First time you could play as Nova Shenron. This game had such great great moments in the game. You could transform into Grade 8 with certain Saiyans that transform through the full moon. There were stages where they had at night where your Saiyan could transform into a Grade 8. They had such great animation for the transformation. This game is one of my favorite games. It's such a rare game to find, but it's one of the best. It's my favorite game. I grew up with it. It has so much variety. If you guys enjoyed this list, let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys for more top 10s and other videos coming your way. Cause God Bally thingamadog, I love Dragon Ball, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!